It's about 1:35 p.m. on Thursday, November 6th. In another just absolutely disgusting and dehumanizing, discriminatory, bigoted, and just fucking gross decision, the U.S. Supreme Court has cleared the way for Donald Trump's transgender passport policy. This was posted within the last 40 minutes on the New York Times. A lower court judge had temporarily blocked the Trump administration's policy requiring that passports reflect someone's gender identity as found on an original birth certificate. This is an example of a trans-related policy from the Trump organization that is nothing other than cruelty. It is just flat out cruelty and using the power of the federal government to make the lives of trans people as if their lives in this country aren't fucking hard enough because they got to deal with things that you and I can't possibly imagine. Not the least of which is that the President of the United States gets off on using them as a punching bag. And straight white men, evangelicals, who are the most hardcore Trump supporters, who live in red states. Yeah, that's right. Red states that have the highest volume of searches for transgender pornography. Looking at you, MAGA. Looking at you, MAGA. We should be able to make all of your search histories public. We should be able to make every single one of your internet porn search histories public. Because, look what happens when you guys get together in large groups. You go to the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee and immediately crashed Grindr, the gay hookup app. And he almost brought it to a screeching halt at a funeral in Arizona, a funeral for Charlie Kirk. It's like you guys go to the upper Midwest and it's like you hit the ground and you just immediately have to get some of that sweet Milwaukee penis, which actually was the name of a cover band that Tom Powell Jr. was in the early 80s. But I digress. The Supreme Court cleared the way on Thursday for the Trump administration to stop issuing passports that include gender identity markings selected by applicants. The emergency order, because what with everything going on right now, what could be more of an emergency? What could be more of an emergency than fucking with trans people? The emergency order, which will remain in place as the case makes its way through the lower courts, marked the latest victory for President Trump before the Supreme Court. Beating the shit out of trans people is now a victory for the President of the United States. The case, Trump versus Orr, stems from a Trump administration policy to change gender requirements for passport holders. Again, something that literally affects not one single person anywhere ever. The policy has been blocked since June when a federal court temporarily stopped the administration from enforcing it while the court case continued. No vote count was given because it was on the shadow docket, as is typical in such cases, but the majority offered 4 paragraphs of reasoning granting the administration's request. Oh, goody. Quote, displaying passport holders' sex at birth no more offends equal protection principles than displaying their country of birth. Funny, I've never identified as French. I've never identified as Ecuadorian. I have a lot of trans friends who don't identify as the gender that they were born with. I was not aware that transnationalism is a big problem. That is the majority on the Supreme Court, making a false equivalency and an incredibly bad faith, offensive analogy. And they know it when they're doing it. They know it when they're doing it. They know they are being assholes. They just don't like trans people either. So they don't give a shit. It's just fucking gross, man. Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote a dissent. She was joined in that dissent by Justices Elena Kagan and Sonia Sotomayor. Justice Jackson wrote that it had become routine for Trump administration to seek emergency relief from the justices after the lower courts block its policies, adding, quote, as is also becoming routine, this court misunderstands its assignment, close quote. She said that the government had found an obliging audience for its efforts to change the passport rules among the Supreme Court's conservative justices. I think she meant to say among the Supreme Court's conservative bigots. Justice Jackson explained that she would have rejected the government's request because, quote, the documented real-world harms to these plaintiffs obviously outweigh the government's unexplained and inexplicable interest in immediate implementation of the passport policy. There is harm to the plaintiffs. There is no explanation as to what the government's interest is here. So, of course, the conservative majority was like, we're going to fine for these guys. It's just fucking gross, man. It's just gross discrimination, bigotry, and hatred founded in bullshit, fabricated, made-up religious garbage, as with so many other things in this administration and with Donald Trump's MAGA base, who, again, whenever they gather in large groups, the straight, white, evangelical Republican men who support Donald Trump, the first thing that pops into their head is, I need to get on Grindr and I need to hook up with another man. And that's why they think being gay is a choice, because they choose to live as straight, even though they're not. That's why they think being gay is a choice, because the way they are living their lives is a choice that is in contravention to the fact that they all really, really, really love dick. Yeah. Looking at you, MAGA. That's right. Have a great weekend.